Welcome to Wining and Dining with Gina Birch, a series where we dive into the experience of food and wine. We learn the stories behind those who create and cultivate both, and we have a little bit of fun along the way. Today, I'm excited to have winemaker Brian Talley in the studio. He's a third-generation farmer, a second-generation wine grower of Talley Vineyards in San Luis Obispo region of California. Also here, a special treat is his daughter Elizabeth, who is sales, marketing, and brand development specialist for Talley Vineyards. Thank you guys for being in studio. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having us. Looking forward to this conversation.
So you guys have been doing this for a little bit. Like I said, third and fourth generation. Elizabeth, you're fourth generation. Brian, you're third. Tell us a little bit, first of all, about Talley Vineyards. Kind of give us an overview, a little history, if you will, because you're in a little special little place of the world right there.
Yes, we are. And our history dates back to 1948 when my grandfather started growing vegetables in the San Luis Obispo coast region. And then fast forward to 1982, and that's when my father started planting wine grapes.
I'm going to interrupt just a minute because that area is really isn't it known as like the salad bowl area of California? Am I in the right spot where you're known for growing, like you said, vegetables, not necessarily grapes? Or previously?
Well, it's sort of a complicated answer.
Okay.
The true salad bowl of California is in Monterey County.
Okay.
But we're sort of a mini version of that. And yes, there is a tremendous amount of vegetables that are grown there, as well as lemons and avocados.
And you border Monterey County, right? For people,
we do. San Luis Obispo.
Get a lay of the land.
Right. So San Luis Obispo County is the next county to the south of Monterey County, and then we're just north of Santa Barbara County.
Yeah.
And from a wine growing standpoint, the thing that really makes the San Luis Obispo coastal region so fabulous is that it is the coolest wine growing region in the state of California. Our vineyards tend to be closer to the ocean than anywhere else, and consequently, those are conditions that really favor Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which are the two varieties that we specialize in.
Right. And when you talk about, are those the ones, do you do other grapes at Talley? I mean, do you grow other, not do other grapes, do you grow other grapes, but those are your two specialties?
The two foci, I guess, of the winery are Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. We also grow Sauvignon Blanc, Gruner Veltliner, Syrah, and Grenache.
So, Elizabeth, you've spent some time around the world and in Florida as well at Walt Disney World. Didn't you work there as part of your learning and growing and to step into the role that you have at the vineyards?
I did the Disney College program.
Yeah.
After I graduated from Cal Poly, and I just wanted to get great customer service training and live in Florida and get to work for Disney.
There you go. Who doesn't want to do that, right? And what did you feel like you wanted to do something else? Because when I talk to people, in the family, did you want to have anything to do with a grape business, the grape growing, the or any of it, or did you just I just want to do marketing on my own, and this just kind of fell into it? How did that all come about?
Well, when I started working when I turned 12, I wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Doing bell pepper transplants as a 12-year-old was not that fun, but I learned a lot. And I always saw that my dad had what seemed like a dream job. He got to travel and drink wine and pour wine for people, and he loved it. So it sounded like a lot of fun. And I went and worked for other wineries for a little while, got my master's degree, and just really wanted to come back to the family business.
All right, there you go. So, Brian, you had some award. I'm going to let you brag a little bit here because one of the we're going to taste some of these wines. I know you've got a couple. You brought a couple with you, but didn't you win the best Chardonnay or in the repeat of the Judgment at Paris?
Well, that was certainly a career highlight. Our 2002 Rosemary's Vineyard Chardonnay was included in the 30th anniversary Judgment of Paris tasting. And that actually won the California flight, which was really
cool.
a fabulous accolade. So thank you for asking.
Yeah. Well, so you brought a Chardonnay?
I did.
Let's do a little tasting, then we'll continue our interview so we can. So what did you bring with us today?
So I brought our signature Chardonnay. This is our estate Chardonnay, and it's produced from 5 of our 7 vineyards located in the San Luis Obispo coast region. Mm-hmm. And so this is really meant to capture the essence of that region. And as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, this is a very cool region. So what you can look for is tart flavors. The wine completes malolactic fermentation, so we're adding some richness and softness. And then the other thing is you'll notice a very light touch with French oak. We don't want to overwhelm the fruit flavors that come from our vineyards with French oak barrels. And
I notice that's becoming more and more of a trend in California for, a while. And a lot of people talk a lot about California Chardonnay and other regions that are north of you about how so often they were over oaked, and it just, the finesse of the grape was just lost.
Right.
And Chardonnay is such a beautiful grape. It's one of the most popular in the world. It's grown and consumed everywhere. But when it's overdone, it's not always nice. And it got a bad rap. I have people like, I don't want anything but Chardonnay. Like, we just haven't had the right Chardonnay. And
right.
This is a good one.
And, I've had that experience, as has Elizabeth, at wine tastings where people will see that we're pouring Chardonnay, and often they feel like they might not want to try it, and then they taste it and say, oh, this is so much different than what I was expecting. This is refreshing. It makes me want to have another glass. And that's exactly the style of Chardonnay. You
mentioned makes you want to have another glass. And to me, it kind of makes me salivate in the back,
right.
Just in the back of my mouth. And I think that's really good when it comes to food and wine, because you want people to have another sip and you want people to have a bite. And those two things go together when you have that salivating, that experience in your mouth.
Exactly, and the term that we use for that is mouth-watering. And
it is mouth-watering.
These are wines that are really meant to one, pair with food. I believe that wine just plays a critical role on the dinner table, and they're wines that encourage having more than one glass.
Yes, this has a lovely finish. It's nice and long. It's balanced, and like you said, that those tropical flavors and a little bit of spice. And what would you serve with this, or what would you pour it with?
Well, being here in Florida, I love some of the seafood that you folks have down here. Things like grouper and red snapper. Oh my gosh, I love snapper with our Chardonnay. So those are two favorites, but it also works very well with things like chicken as well. And then Elizabeth's vegetarian, so. What's your number one food recommendation for our Chardonnay?
Avocados.
Okay. A little salt on them and
Yeah, either guacamole or avocado toast. I could eat avocado toast every day.
I like this. It's going to be my new breakfast. This Chardonnay and avocado toast.
There you go.
Forget
Breakfast
lunch.
of champions.
Yes. I love it. How many Chardonnays do you make?
We make this wine as well as 3 single vineyard bottlings, one from Rosemary's Vineyard. Rosemary is my mother, and that's a vineyard that surrounds her house. Oliver's Vineyard is a vineyard named after my grandfather, who was the founder of Talley Farms. And then our Rincon Vineyard, that's the site where my father started planting the vines back in 1982. So that's a total of 4 Chardonnays under the Talley Vineyards label.
What is distributed outside of California? I know we're doing this interview in Florida, but you have a wider distribution. I know you're smaller production as well, right? So where can we find your wines?
We are, and here in Florida, this is going to be the most common wine with the Talley name on it is our estate Chardonnay, and I'm going to draw a bit of a blank in terms of telling you where exactly to go, other than the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, where they're pouring the Pinot Noir by the glass. That's a great
that's nice. By the glass. Yep. Well, you know what? We can always put, I can always add locations, because I know that changes from time to time with the people who are managing restaurants and bars and availability of the wines and all of that stuff. It's an ever flowing and moving thing when it comes to menus and wine lists. So let's talk a little bit about your Pinot Noir now.
Sure. So this is really analogous to the estate Chardonnay. This is our estate Pinot Noir. In this case, we're bringing together 4 different vineyards that we own, that we have planted to Pinot Noir. Again, it's meant to really capture the essence of our San Luis Obispo coast region. And so what you can look for here is this can be a little bit lighter in color.
Yeah.
Pinot Noir is a very thin-skinned variety. And so it's typically going to be a little bit more pale than something like Cabernet Sauvignon or say, Syrah. And, this will be in the more sort of elegant and fruit-forward style.
Well, I get that little earthy nose to it, and I get it's a nice aromatics, though. It's not like some people describe Pinot Noirs as mushrooms and sweaty socks, but I still get some of the fruit and liveliness in this. And what would you serve this one with food-wise? So what I love out in California is salmon. Just beautiful with this wine, but it also it has enough savory character, enough tannin to really work nicely with red meat. It does have that nice savory finish. It's really bright and lively up front, and the back is just so nice and savory. Oh, that's really lovely.
Right.
Maybe a risotto with mushrooms.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite combinations.
Yeah.
With,
I could eat that all day right now. I'm salivating again. So you have a cookbook. Speaking of the food and wine pairings, let's talk about your cookbook. Are you an avid in the kitchen? Are you?
I am a cooking enthusiast, and I'm proud of the fact that I've raised 2 daughters that are also very, very accomplished in the kitchen. In fact, Elizabeth has nailed sourdough baking.
Whoa,
so
that's good. That's not an easy one to do.
No, it's a long time.
Yeah.
And so she makes spectacular sourdough. But we grow about 30 different commodities on the farm, and so the cookbook was really a way to celebrate that history and legacy, and then also all the recipes are paired with wine. So
as a farmer, your family's still not, you haven't converted all the way to grapes. You're still doing other vegetables. You're diversified in what you're doing. That's cool.
In fact, the vegetable farming and our other farming activities are larger in scope than the winery.
Okay. Wow, it's just a little. Well, this is pretty good for your little side project.
Well, thank you.
When you go to visit Talley, do you have a tasting room, and do you have a culinary program there? Or if I go out to San Luis Obispo, what am I going to experience if I come visit you?
So yes, we do have a tasting room, and increasingly, in terms of our food offerings, it's really kind of focused on charcuterie and cheese, but we've started to incorporate more produce into that, along with hummus. So important to always offer that.
Yeah, Elizabeth's like, yeah, come on, I'm the vegetarian here. We got to have some of those veggies and hummus. That's good.
Right, and so it's and really what you're going to experience at Talley Vineyards is being in the middle of a working farm, surrounded by vineyards. And so this is not a tasting room in town. It's very much a rural agricultural experience.
Do you have a wine club for people who are listening, maybe in other states, who aren't able to get your wines distributed?
Yes, we do. And the best way to buy our wines, whenever anybody has any doubt about that, is to visit talleyvineyards.com. We're open 24 hours a day. You can sign up for our wine club, you can sign up for our mailing list, or you can buy wine. Or you can just check out some of the cool videos. And Elizabeth and Juliana Neal, who manages our tasting room, are doing some really cool stuff on TikTok and Instagram these days.
Very good. And we can buy the cookbook there, too?
Yes, you can.
Elizabeth, did you do the photography for the cookbook?
I was still in college when it came out.
Okay.
I was more on the outskirts. I did take some of the photos.
You'll do volume 2.
Yes.
when it comes about?
We're talking actually about a plant-based cookbook along with Elizabeth's sister, Olivia.
Okay.
And so we're contemplating that as a next move in the culinary
I love it.
Scene.
But it makes so much sense for you. You're growing vegetables, and speaking of that, the growing. Let's just go back, revisit that a little bit. Sustainability, organic. How do you guys approach your growing in the fields when it comes to whether it's vegetables or the grapes?
So on the vineyard side, everything is certified sustainably farmed, and really what that means for us is we don't use any herbicides in the vineyard. Mm-hmm. We take social responsibility with respect to our employees very seriously. So everyone has access to health insurance and other benefits. Our winery is 80% solar powered. Mm-hmm. And we're actually just in the process of installing some new electric vehicle chargers at the winery. So people will be able to tap into some of our solar power and get their cars charged.
Nice. I'm going to have you be philosophical with me for a minute here. Looking forward, where do you see the wine industry going in California? And if you want to comment globally as well, because there are all these reports coming out about how the next generation is more into the alcohol-free or the kavas or the CBD and the THC and all of these other things. But for me, wine is like a ceremony. It's with breaking bread with people and having with food and exploring how it changes. And so I don't think any of those things that I just mentioned will give anybody that same experience.
Right. Well, and that's kind of a nice segue into a fun little campaign that kind of kicked off when I was on a podcast in New York City in the fall.
Okay.
And was talking to my friend John Coyle, and both of us agreed that wine can save the world.
Ooh, I like that. Wine can save the world. That's
good. And we are going to leave you with the sticker that proclaims that. And what do I mean by that? Wine is unique in terms of bringing people together. Mm-hmm. I mean, people aren't gathering for, special meals around, seltzer or kombucha or, things like that. So, wine plays a very, very special role there. Wine really leads in terms of agricultural products as well as alcoholic beverages in terms of sustainability. Mm-hmm. The industry has always been at the forefront of that. And then finally, wine really drives economic development in rural areas the way that really other products don't. And I think about the financial impact that the wine industry has had, at like the Naples wine auction.
Oh yeah.
I mean, folks have raised just about $250 million.
$35 million this year alone.
Right.
It's insane.
And again, there's just no other. There's no other beverage that's doing that. There's no other sector of agriculture that is having that kind of impact. And so what I think is going to happen is that young people are going to start to embrace this, just as folks in my generation did. I mean, I used to drink kind of crappy wine coolers when I was, before I knew better. But sometime in my I had the good fortune to start managing our family business in my early 20s. I really fell in love with wine, and I think that this is a golden age in terms of production of California wines, and so there's really an opportunity for people to discover and fall in love with wine, and I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah,
and and there's this whole old saying that everything old is new again. So maybe there are people who are experimenting with other things, but I feel like it will come full circle, and people who aren't drinking it now are saying it's passé, or they don't want to do what their mom and dad did, will find the value and the enjoyment of it and the experience of how this is living. It's in the glass. Exactly. And it changes, and it's so cool if you're a geeky food and wine person, it's so wonderful to explore and
But it also, I think we can relate to it just purely on a more visceral level, that this is delicious and it makes food taste better. And at the end of the day, I think that's what a lot of folks want is just something that enhances their meal, brings people together, and tastes really good. Yeah. And wine is unique in that regard.
And I just have to give you some props, Brian, because you're sitting here talking so casually about this, but you really made a difference when it comes to San Luis Obispo, turning it into the AVA and the respected region that it is. Because prior, we were talking about when your grandfather was farming in the 40s, grapes weren't grown then. It was more of your peppers and lettuce and your other agriculture products. Why did you try to take on? Because having an area designated as an AVA is a pretty big deal, and it brings clout, it brings respect, and it takes a long time to convince others who are doing that certification to come along on the wagon, doesn't it? Or how did that work for you?
That is true, and I got to actually participate in two of those initiatives. One was when we created the Arroyo Grande Valley AVA, which was an effort that my father really spearheaded back in 1990. And that was a very simple process. You filled out the forms. I helped with the history piece because I was a history major in college. And then, fast forward to 2016, when we decided to create the San Luis Obispo Coast AVA, which actually overlays both the Edna and Arroyo Grande Valleys. This was a much more complicated, comprehensive, and expensive process. It took about 6 years. Wow. It cost us about $100,000. And, we had to hire experts, including attorneys, to really, shepherd us through the process. But at the end of the day, it really gives us a very defined region. So to produce wines that say San Luis Obispo Coast on the label, that those are only wines that come from a very, very specific region. And that region happens to be the coolest wine growing area in the state of California. And that's really something that we hang our hat on.
Right. And for people who don't understand, AVAs, that kind of helps when I'm looking at a bottle on a shelf, kind of get a general idea of what that wine is going to be like inside. Is that a dumbed down way to describe what that is?
I mean, that's certainly been the intention.
For the consumer? Yeah.
Right. And the most important thing for people to understand is that that viticultural area, and AVA stands for American Viticultural Area, that's one of the few things on a wine label, the vintage, the varietal, and that AVA, that's really legally mandated. There's a lot of other things that people put on wine labels, things like reserve or proprietor select, or these terms like that really have no legal meaning. The viticultural area, the AVA, that's very, very highly regulated.
Okay. All right. Well, and speaking of that, before we wrap up, then what is going to be a characteristic that I can almost always get from the San Luis Obispo Coast AVA? So
what you can look for in Pinot Noir, again, is going to be generally a more delicate, savory style. For Chardonnay and other whites, in fact, we produce more white wines in that region because, in general, cool wine growing areas tend to focus more on whites. You're looking at racy, sort of tart whites that are really great with seafood, especially Chardonnay that's awesome with avocado.
Elizabeth, you get a thumbs up for all of that?
Yeah.
I know. Thanks for being here. And I know, Elizabeth, you've been kind of helping in the background there, pouring wine and helping us out. But it was great to meet you, and congratulations on all the things that you're doing, and welcome back to Florida.
Thank you.
And Brian, thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed your wines. It's good seeing you again. I know we've met at some wine tastings along the way, but now you're on my territory. So,
well, thank you for having us here today and learning, a little bit more about Talley Vineyards that you can share with your listeners.
Right, Brian Talley, his daughter Elizabeth Talley, from Talley Vineyards in Central Coast, San Luis Obispo, California. Thank you again for being with us.